Thank you, guys. Thank you. Now, we just finished talking about marriage and, getting married, but we're in college right now, so I think the basic thing we're thinking about are just relationships or just dating. So, when it comes to that, we need a relationship expert, huh? Right? Yeah? All right. So please welcome Kenny Pugh, who's a motivational speaker and relationship expert. Come on out, Kenny. How are you?
Everybody.
Good.
How are you?
I am great. So Kenny is the author of Can You Do It Standing Up? Ooh, lovely. Now, let's explain this so the folks at home won't be like, what's going on?
Yeah, so to start with, I wanted a title that would be catchy, and I think I've accomplished
And that is indeed catchy. You got that right.
And then secondly, I wanted the title to be something that people could reflect upon, to think about how you're doing relationships, and to making sure that you're not into relationships for horizontal purposes only, but to do them standing up.
Like Chelsea Handler, we are not going to be little Chelsea Handlers. So could you give me a brief summary of all the chapters in this book? Just shoot through it in 1 minute.
To summarize it succinctly, Can You Do It Standing Up is taking a look at relationships and all of your relationships that encompass your life. And so when you think about relationships, a lot of us, the first thing we think about are relationships between humans and our interaction with one another. Most of those are romantic in nature. But my approach is to take a step back and take a look at your relationships in their entirety. And so what is your spiritual relationship like? That's one of the first things that I talk about. To have a good, healthy, horizontal relationship with other people, I believe that you need to have a good spiritual relationship in place. Secondly, one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of people's relationships with one another fail because they have a poor representation or poor view of themselves.
Right.
And so once your spiritual relationship is in place, once you have a good, healthy view of yourself, then you are now positioned to have a good, healthy relationship.
It's almost like a firm foundation to build a house, kind of, yeah.
That is correct. And so without the foundation, all of your other relationships will crumble around you. And so one of the things that I've noticed, once again, is that if you don't have a healthy view of yourself, you try to blend in with what everybody else around you wants you to be. And that's unhealthy. And so I try to teach people to have a true understanding of who you are, what your purpose is. And once you have that, then you'll be surrounded with those people that can help take you to another level.
Okay, cool. Well, that was a great summary. Okay, so we're just going to go down this list right here on the back of the book. These are some pretty good points. So, learning the relationship formula for success. What does that mean? What do we need to get out a pen and paper and a calculator, or what?
No, I actually gave you that. That is the foundation of how the book was created. So, your spiritual relationship plus your relationship with yourself, plus the relationships with those around you, give you the total relationship of your being. And so, we are human beings and we are relational beings. And so, by having all of your relationships in place, I think you live a perfected life.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do. We want to live a life that is purposeful in nature, a life that will help take you to the next level.
Okay. So, looking at this next point, well, I think a lot of college students need to understand this. Now, on my last show, I spoke with Todd Reed, who's also another relationship expert, and he said that you can't begin a relationship with sex. And this point says, realizing that sex does not mean commitment.
That's correct.
So, are you saying that sex is okay?
I'm not saying sex is okay. I'm one of the
just making sure.
Relationship strategist and also sexual purity advocate. So my thoughts are that when you allow yourself to get into sexual relationships, your views become clouded. Your emotions get involved. Your engine starts running, and then those who will kind of learn more about the human body. Your body gives off hormones when you're in the midst of having sexual intercourse.
Right.
And those things are unhealthy. Those things are generated to form a bond between you and that other person. And so when you start a relationship sexually, you start wondering why so-and-so is stalking you. You start wondering why they won't leave you alone and so on and so forth. The hormonal physical component of relationships tied with the emotional, that's just not a good way to start relationships.
Yeah, and stalkers are not okay. Just so we're clear. Any of you have any stalkers out there? Okay, good. Oh, Someone admitted it. So there's a communication gap between men and women. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know that. Really?
Imagine that. Yeah, men and women speak two different languages. And so in order to have healthy interaction between one another, you have to understand what the other person is talking about. One of the books that I recommend is The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, and that teaches you to understand how to interact with the person that you're dealing with. And so that is the purpose behind the communication gap between men and women.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you this. This might throw you for a loop here. What about gay relationships? Gay relationships, can't even speak. So is there a communication gap between two men or two women?
Well, to be honest with you, I think interaction between any human beings, there is a communication gap. So me personally, based off of my beliefs, I'm not necessarily a supporter of gay relationships per se, and but I do understand the interaction between human beings and whatnot. There is a need to understand what the other person is trying to communicate.
Right. Okay. Cool. Now, oh my goodness, I've heard this term many times before. The friend zone. You know what that kind of sounded like? You remember the Amanda Show when she go, we're like the girls' room? Yeah, that kind of reminded me of that. So, how can we identify whether or not we're in the friend zone?
That's a tough question. The friend zone is a place where it resides between the origination of wanting a relationship with someone and then ultimately fulfilling that desire that you have at the start. And so when you find yourself in the friend zone, you're somewhere between the origin of the desire and the destination of where you want to be.
Right.
Those who find themselves interacting with other people and they're, introducing you as their brother or their sister, you can pretty much
it's kind of the friend
believe that you're probably in the friend zone.
Probably in the very middle and like a small tiny dot.
That's correct. Yep. And so when you have that going on, one of the things that I talk about is just asking the questions. If you want to know where you are in a relationship, ask the tough questions.
Right.
And communication is one of the support beams that exist between men and women and whatnot. And so I believe that that's something that always needs to be in place. Have a conversation. Don't be afraid of the tough question.
Right. It's not that hard. So could you give me an example of a tough question? Because my tough question could be like, do you want sour gummy worms from Walmart?
Right. So a tough question is, where is this relationship going?
Okay.
But when you ask that question, you have to be willing to accept the answer that's going to come back to you.
Right.
A lot of times we have that question asked and is given and delivered from more of an emotional state. And then when you get the answer that you don't want, that's when the tears start flowing. That's when you get up, start tearing up the house and things of that nature. So you just want to avoid that.
We will not mess up my house. All of my furniture is from IKEA, and that's not okay.
Right.
And so one last thing, preparing yourself for a relationship. So whenever we interact with each other, should we automatically look for a relationship, or can we just be friends?
Yeah, my approach, as I outline in the book, is that friendship is the foundation to healthy, successful romantic relationships.
Okay.
So having a good, solid friendship with someone in the beginning is the platform to have good, healthy relationships long term. I start talking about each individual needs to work on him or herself, focusing on your spiritual life, your financial life, your professional life, your educational life, your physical life, as well as kind of your mental life.
Right.
What are you reading? What are you putting into your brain to further yourself? And so when you focus on yourself and you allow yourself to become more focused on you, so that you're bettering yourself, then you'll connect with people of like minds.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, did you guys learn something today? Oh my goodness, I know I did. Well, we will see you guys in just a few moments. We're going to see if all of this information has played a big role in your part here on the show. Oh ho ho, we'll be right back.